From deep in the Burbank Media District, it's time for another edition of My Burbank Talks, presented by the staff of My Burbank. Now, let's see what's on today's agenda as we join our program.
Hello, Burbank. Craig Sherwood here with you once again, and through the magic of Zoom, we have Ross Benson.
Well, the magic of Zoom and whatever else it's called, the week that was, the week that will be for April 8th, and guess what? Sis boom bang, today was my granddaughter's 8th birthday.
Oh my, 8 years already. You gotta
Can
be
you
kidding
believe
me.
that? I said that to my son today, and he said, yeah, in 10 years she's going to be an adult.
Yeah.
So,
In about, 4 years, she's going to start discovering boys.
no, not if my son,
Well,
is loud. But that clock behind you is running well, and things are going well. And you notice I'm from the Palace tonight.
yes,
Last
you are.
week, most people probably didn't know that I was laying on a hospital gurney and did a show via technology again, via that. And I don't know how many hours later I was on an operating room table. So,
You definitely were on the DL last week, and you still you played injured. So
yeah, I was out for a week, and boy, like my son said a week ago today, and I believe that I was laid up at good old St. Joe's. St. Joe's, it just that new ER it's big, but boy, it gets full.
well, yeah, there's
And
not many hospitals around anymore.
and there's everybody hacking and coughing and kicking, and I recognize people, in the ER that I knew, but they took care of me, and I found we got other stuff to work on, but we're back with our followers, and another week and another let's hit the road, Joe.
Absolutely.
You know Joe.
Yep, from St. Joe's. Okay, last week's winner, Alex Sargent. Alex Sargent, you are the winner of last week's gift card for Hill Street Cafe, $25 gift card, which you can buy many great meals with that. The word last week was dig, and I hope the dig event went well. I think it was at the library last week, so I hope it went well for all the... Well, it did rain last Saturday, so I don't know if they dug or not. The diggers dug, or did they dig or dug, or what? I don't know.
Well, here's his card that I had one sitting here. I don't know what's left on it here, but if he sends us his email, he'll get a great meal.
Yeah, well, I have his email. All you got to do now is I'm going to send it out tomorrow. So
Cool.
he'll get it in the mail. So
Congratulations, Alex.
absolutely. So we're going to move on kind of through last Tuesday was because of the school board council joint meeting. There was no council meeting on Tuesday. They instead got together on Wednesday.
Oh, I thought they didn't have a meeting because I was in the hospital.
Well, you weren't in the hospital till, yeah, that's right. You were in the hospital last Monday, weren't you?
Yeah, I went to urgent care and then the ER, yep.
Yeah.
And you know what? When you get into the hospital, time stops. Think about it. Everything stops.
It's kind of like a casino in Las Vegas. No windows, no clocks.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that same thing down in Morongo?
Oh, I'm sure it's in every casino. They don't want you to know if it's day or night. Because you're going the day, all of a sudden it's night. Oh, I got to get out of here. It's nighttime. Or they don't want you to know what time it is, so you can just keep gambling and gambling and gambling. That's the they're pretty smart people. It's kind of like the supermarkets, always putting the milk in the very back corner of the store, so you have to walk through all the other aisles to get milk, which you always need or something.
That's funny you say that, because now that I've shopped at Vaughn's over there on Pass for years, and you're right. And so is they all are.
Well, yeah.
They
put the necessities in the very back of the store, which makes you go through the store to get to them. And you say, "Oh, look at that! And we can pick one of those up while I'm at it too." So that's a trick of the stores. That's why I do everything online.
But I do know that's where all the bathrooms are too, because I've having some stomach issues, and I've learned where those bathrooms are.
One little advantage you get at home, I know where my bathroom at home is here. So anyhow, let's get to the city council meeting. They met together at the community services building. I was once again a little disappointed in the fact that our school board president, Emily Weisberg, could not stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. She kind of sat there and looked down, and it bothers me. And I'll get into it some other time, but I say this: she's protesting something, which now I can't remember what it is. And I think there's a lot of people watching that meeting who don't watch school board meetings, and they see her just sitting there. They're probably saying, what's up with that? She should announce, after every pledge saying, for the public's information, I didn't stand for this reason. But no, she doesn't do that. She just doesn't stand. It's been a couple of years now, or over a year. So I think, I understand a protest. I appreciate a protest, but after a while, what are you protesting, Anyhow, let's move on from that.
That room was full. They had, they really didn't do any wide-angle shots like they do at City Council, but the first couple of rows appeared to be quite full, and I was real surprised. I rewatched the meeting. I didn't watch it last week. I was well sedated, but I got to watch it yesterday, and man, oh man, there was a...
Yeah, I really couldn't tell the crowd. What's up with Legend? If Legend was on his game, he would have had a room shot also.
Well, yeah, it's how they probably have those cameras set up. But do you remember when they were remodeling the city council chambers many years ago? They remotely moved up to, that conference room or community services room, and they have, you got all your staff, your city attorney, your city clerk, and then have both boards together. But if you think about it, you can't put all those people on the dais.
No,
like kangaroo court.
You're absolutely right. Nothing got solved at that meeting. There was nothing at that meeting that was, except for their little motions they did for their joint resolutions, but nothing got accomplished. In fact, the only thing that happened there was something would come up, and then all 10 people would have to comment on it. And I mean, are they worried that if they don't say something that people won't vote for them again? Or are they worried that if they don't say something that people think they don't care? I mean, I think when you say the same thing over and over and over again in different ways, that's what turns off the public to meetings sometimes. It's just nothing good came out of that entire meeting.
Yeah, I will agree. I watched it, and you're right, exactly. People, one council, and Nick Schultz, who ran the meeting pretty well, kind of said in the beginning, let's don't rehash what your previous council member said. And so it's kind of frustrating. But I will say, to see those two boards together, there was decorum and everything and so forth. And but what was the purpose? I mean, I know they got to have this joint meeting.
Well, they brought up the thing about SROs, school resource officers, which I think every school should have one. But of course, our school board member Steve Ferguson is against school, the SROs, and I guess he had a bad experience when he went to school or something, and thinks that everybody had a bad experience. Where my experiences with my SRO at both Burroughs and Jordan were very positive. And
I
remember them well.
Son, I said to my son today, talking to him, he remembers V. Jones and Carol Schiff, and you get a relationship, and that's what our kids need, and he in fact made comment. He knows kids that won't go to school knowing that there's a police officer on their campus, and that's just
Well, if that's the reason they're not going to school, then they got bigger, deeper problems than a cop on campus. So, I mean,
it was nice to see. I will say that it was the first time they kind of showed the new mental health car inside and out, and that was 4 years in the making, or 3 years, and finally got it and so forth. So, but a couple of the other things that they discussed, if you recall, we brought it up here on the podcast last year when they had a school board meeting, and people were up in arms about, and rightfully so, when we had the intruder at Burbank High, and then they had at that school board meeting, some attacks and sexual advances and so forth, and they report excuse me, I don't have that cough button today. they, reported on their findings and they've corrected stuff. Stuff like that needs to be brought out because now with social media, it runs so rampant and so fast. And what was that? That was how many months ago?
Yeah, that was what 6, 8 months ago.
Yeah.
Matt Hill was still superintendent then. I think that was back in last May.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, yeah.
Last May or something, April or May. So it's been close to a year. So
yeah, that meeting we did go pretty late. It went past 11 because they had to get permission. They had to ask the head timekeeper,
yeah.
Can we go past 11?
Well, my only note on this thing was nothing really accomplished on the night. So for all you keeping score at home, 4.5 hours and nothing. It's a lot of nothing for 4.5 hours. There you go. Your city government work, or I should say lack of work. So I just think that those meetings are ridiculous. I mean, if they got a real issue they need to get together and discuss on one issue, yes, let's do that. But just to have a meeting for the sake of having a meeting, and I never heard an apology from Steve Ferguson toward our city manager.
You're not going to. You're
after he threw him under the bus for how long, because he knows more about how things work than Justin Hess does. Which
well, the other thing that kind of, I will say that it's like some of the council members and school board members, they can consolidate. We're a small city, print shops, auto mechanic shops, some other things that I'm glad somebody, in fact, Joel Schlossman had a whole list of stuff, and I'm glad they not only acknowledged Joel, but they also said, we will look into the list that you provided and see where we can consolidate and save money. And so, when Joel thinks he doesn't get listened to, last night was a good example. They do listen to Joel.
Well, and what was his demeanor? His demeanor was actually there he spoke. He didn't yell. He didn't swear. And so all of a sudden now you heard his message.
Yeah, and like I said, they acknowledged Joel, and a longtime Burbank resident, and he had some good points, and we'll see. Again, there are politicians up there, as you and I say.
Yeah,
and they can say one thing in front of a meeting, and then
they're here today and they're gone tomorrow. So
yep, you got it.
My big thing with the school board, not board, I guess it's board because they make the decisions, is how they've got rid of all the skill classes. They want every kid to go to college, and they're taking away the trade stuff's not there. Auto shops and different things like that. An electric shop and all, because we need electricians, we need carpenters, we need people who can fix a car. Yeah, and they don't have any desire to go to college, so we need that workforce. And are we preparing that segment of our school for that possibility down the line? Or are we just trying to say, okay, everybody's got to get these grades, take your AP classes, and everybody's got to go off to college? And a lot of times college is not even an affordable expense for families. And our kids say, what, I want that diploma. I just want to graduate, and then I want to get a job in the studios or get a job at a car place or wherever it's going to be, but are we preparing them for that job? That's my question.
I will agree. And I remember, Jordan, I think somebody complained, why do we have two print shops, or the city print shop and the school print shops? Good old Frank Pellegrino. I love the smell of that ink back in the day. Or, Chester Fuse.
Yeah, you had to set the type, though.
Well, that's true. I ran those presses for a lot of time, and then at Burroughs for Gordon Rouse. But, over at our high schools, Chester Fuse, Mr. Holler, today I can pick up a compass or a ruler or, different tools, and it's thanks to them. You ask kids nowadays, if they can't find it on Google, forget it.
The only thing I remember about Chester Fuse is the famous 4 words you used to always say. Out to the fence. That's it. Out to the fence. You did say wrong in his class, you'd go out and have to go stand by the fence outside.
Oh, yeah, right by the school parking lot there. And
yep.
I was there, a couple weeks ago for Teacher of the Year, and it brought back some memories walking by, the metal shop and the wood shop. And
are those still shops now?
well, they're shops, but I think they're being used for video and other
Okay, well,
production.
video's yeah, video absolutely for video. That's
Yeah.
a very important. That's an industry in Burbank that kids can get into.
Well, they should be teaching that. I know the two high schools, and Jordan and Doris Heretta being in middle school, but those kids are learning now at that age. And I can speak for my son, who is an Emmy award-winning gaffer. He didn't learn it, you know, at home watching the cartoons on Saturday. He started off at Burbank High, and you know, those are real important. Lighting, one thing that he told me many years ago, you'll always have lighting. You'll always have TV, if it's either movies or whatever. So he's in a field that he knows that he'll have a career for the rest of his life.
Well, certain jobs. I mean, you always gonna need barbers because hair is always going to grow, even if it's only on your chin. And you always need restaurants because people always need to eat.
Yep.
So there's certain jobs you have to always have out there. I taught video production at Crespi for 8-9 years in the early 2000s, and we used to broadcast games live on our football games, our basketball games, and we called it CeltNet, and I think we were ahead of the curve in a lot of areas. So
Well, I know Dave nowadays they do their video production and on a daily basis, and look at the cameras. Back in the day, we didn't have I look at some of the equipment these kids are using, and it's like, wow.
Well, I was very lucky. I had a player who had played for me before named Jeff Supon, who was a major league player and a very successful major league player. And every year he would send a $10,000 donation to me at Crespi to pay for new equipment, new cameras, new computers. And we had a very nice operation. So he's one of the good guys, one of the great guys. Well, anyhow, let's move on here. Move on to Thursday. We're missing here is actually on Wednesday. I think we had or was that on Tuesday? I can't remember. When was our clock dedication?
Tuesday at 11 o'clock.
Oh, okay. So we had the clock dedication in Centennial Park. Very, very nice, very well attended. We have a video on. Check our YouTube channel out, and Lynn Lepiski did a great article on it. So check that out, and anytime you drive by that, and I found it interesting. It has hands and all that stuff. It's a GPS operated clock, so it's always using GPS tracking to know exactly what the time is. So, except I like to see what happens at 2 a.m. on when it changes to daylight savings time. Does it go backwards an hour, or does it just stop for an hour, or what happens on that? So, but anyway.
Well, yeah, it's really nice. It's they're at Palm and Third. What park is that, Craig?
Centennial Park.
And it's did I hear the mayor say it's one of only two of the smallest park in Burbank, or next to
it's the second smallest park in Burbank.
Yeah, there's one on Santa Anita, if I recall, that is one of the smallest. But really nice dedication. There were a lot of people out there, and Rotary has done a lot for Burbank. That's one of those nonprofits that turn back and give Student of the Month.
Yep.
Every month they honor a student in our schools. They honor a teacher every year. So that was a really nice event.
Yeah, they celebrated that clock for it was their 100th anniversary. So in Burbank, that was a nice thing. So moving back to Thursday, we had another big event, and that was the grand. Well, I guess the grand opening. It was the ribbon cutting for the new Cambria Hotel, and I went out for that. In fact, we will have a video pretty soon, and Lynn already has a great article up on My Burbank on it, and it's a very, very nice place. They had a huge they had sushi bars, and they had caviar, and they had all kinds of stuff. It was amazing what they had. They had champagne, the whole thing. So,
well, this Hotel Cambria, a lot of people. I've talked to so many people that keep asking me, where is it? When did it get built? Not a lot of people go up Hollywood Way if they're not going to Gary Brick's ramp. But in that development, that was proposed for a 6-story hotel, which it is, and it's they have a Cambria down at LAX. I think it's one of their flagship hotels. This place is classy. I mean, you can't once you're inside, you can't hear the airport, you can't hear the trains going by, but the ribbon cutting was a hullabaloo, as I put it in my notes.
Yeah, you probably haven't seen it because if you're going down Hollywood Way, you go under the tracks, under the underpass there, and it's actually to the left at Hollywood Way and San Fernando. So you don't really see it as you're going down Hollywood Way, but it's there, and it's a very nice facility. So,
you know what? I'm gonna say that my graduating class, Burroughs class of '74, we're having our reunion in August 12th. It's a little comment about it, and I'm booking rooms there for people that are coming in from out of state.
Where's it going to be? Where's your reunion at?
The reunion's going to be at the Elks Lodge. We've kept it under $100. We want everybody to be there. We're doing the day before or the day after a tour of the school, a class picture, a picnic. In fact, we got a cruise going. Some people are going on a cruise, and I'm part of that on the committee. But I tried to call the Marriott, and they won't book a slew of rooms for like a reunion down the street. But talking to Cambria, they said they'll, you got to guarantee so many and so forth. But, if people leave the Elks Lodge and have to stumble, you can stumble right up Hollywood Way and get to the Cambria Hotel. So, got a nice bar. People want to check it out. And again, like you say, it's really classy. Nice.
Yep. And what's the greatest thing about a new hotel in Burbank? That's more heads on the pillows, which means more bed tax for Burbank.
That's right.
So, moving on to the weekend, this last weekend, two of our nonprofits had events this past weekend. The Kiwanis Gala and Rotary held their karaoke night at Nickelodeon. So, we call this gala season right now. Like you have award season for all your awards in Hollywood. Well, we have gala season in Burbank where everybody wants to have their gala in the first, or actually the third, fourth, and fifth month of the year. So,
well, I will say I looked at some. I saw some of the pictures. I wasn't able to attend either of them, convalescing. But Rotary. We just talked about Rotary giving back to the community. That's how they raise a lot of these funds that turn around. Like I know Rotary. They made, when St. Joe's ER was being rebuilt, a $25,000 donation. And that's from these events like this karaoke. It was very good. And Nickelodeon, how fortunate are we to have, they have a playground out there that is magnificent, and it was a great place to have it. Kiwanis has had theirs up at the golf course in La Cañada, Glendale up there. And
well, yeah, Nickelodeon's got a lot of bad press in the last few months from that series on Max about child actors. I watched it, and it was, it's really not Nickelodeon per se, but it's still on their, it's still their network, and still they oversee those shows. So, but I think all those problems are now over and done with for the last 4 or 5 years. So, but it's just too bad it has to come out like that.
Well, I drove by there a couple weeks ago, and I felt real bad that, we didn't run, the PD did not put it out, but some guy walked by and tore all those murals on the olive side of the studio there, and they were Nickelodeon figures, and I noticed that they've taken them down. I sure hope they're putting them back, because I remember years ago when Nickelodeon moved in there, and they put SpongeBob, I think, on top of the building. And I believe our council member, Gary Brick at the time, said, who allowed that?
Yeah,
you don't realize.
Who said you could paint that building like that?
Yeah, and so hopefully they're going to get these murals back up, because people come to Burbank. You know how many times I go up Olive and they're standing there to shoot a picture?
There's two huge things to look at. Tourist attractions in Burbank. Number one, the Nickelodeon place. And number two is that big mural on the side of Warner Brothers of all the DC characters up there. You see that everywhere. Yeah, it's
How many times do you drive by?
Disney does not have anything like that, do they?
Well, yeah, they do. And the problem, it's set back on their stages. And again, the Rancho people complain. They don't like, they don't want to promote. And so those billboards are actually back on their stages. But we remember the Triangle building. And like you said, all those billboards, how many times do you go by Toluca Lake, Hood? There's somebody out there shooting a picture with those billboards over their shoulder.
Yep.
People back in Pudunk, Iowa, don't realize this is the movie capital of the world, and all those shows that's how they publicize them. In fact, I didn't know you knew that our good friend Mitch Haddad, on a couple of those shows, he was the still photographer, and those are his pictures.
Oh, okay. Well, Mitch did a lot of shows. He was the photographer on Scandal. I know that for a long time, and good guy. And he also shot all the baseball cards back in the 80s. I mean, he'd be at Dodger Stadium and shoot all the players and be on the baseball cards. He's a very interesting person.
2.5 Men, that was on the side of the billboards, and I think Ring Your Bell or whatever, the different shows. So Burbank, we're famous for a lot of things.
Yes, we are. So today the Burbank Art Commission had a subcommittee meeting at 11 a.m. They discussed marketing for upcoming events, so good for them. The Planning Commission met at 6 p.m. tonight, and they had a request for a conditional use permit to allow the operation of an adult daycare facility at 607 South Glen Oaks Boulevard. So,
now that's up in I read that report. It's a commercial building. They're not doing any modifications to it. I think an entryway, they're changing the steps or something, but the planning board had recommended, or I shouldn't say the planning board,
the
planning staff recommended it to be passed. So
yeah, probably did. And they're also going to talk about the zone text amendment to establish regulations and development standards for firearm and ammunition retailers. Now,
moving along.
I'm not sure if this is the final thing, but the one thing, once again, I'm very, very disappointed about. Nothing about capping the number of stores. I've said it before, we need to cap it at 5 stores. And when these 14 or 15, whatever we have, when they start going out of business, nobody can come in and take over for them. It just keeps dwindling down until we get 5. Then if one of the 5 go out of business, we can add one more back to keep 5. But as it is now, what's going to stop the gun stores from coming in and getting 2 or 3 or 4 more stores in different areas of Burbank? And now we'll have 20 gun stores in Burbank. It'll be like the Cerritos Auto Center for cars. They'll have the Burbank Shoot 'em Center. I don't know why we aren't putting a cap on how many stores can operate. We don't allow pot stores. We don't allow massage parlors, but we are going to keep allowing gun stores.
Well, I think that has it's a while off until we see that brought back and the final on it, and we don't know if they're going to put that in there somewhere along the road or not.
Well, I think I'm going to actually, as a citizen, write a letter to the city council and say that needs to be done, because it's something I think that has to be addressed, is how many gun shops are allowed to operate in Burbank. Like I say, you can't tell the ones operating now, they can't, legally you can't do that. They can have the right to operate, but as they close down, they don't need to be replaced. Anyhow, let's move on here. Now, if you don't want to go to the Planning Commission and talk about daycare facility or guns, you can go to the Landlord Tenant Commission. They met at 6:15 tonight, and commissioners met about, for a rent increase at 557 East Tahunga, apartment M. So whoever was there, you're getting a rent increase, they're not happy about it. And the other one was at 1712 West Victory, number A in Burbank. There was an eviction, and they're not happy about it. So I'm sure they went to the Landlord-Tenant Commission, and they said their case, and the Landlord-Tenant Commission said, well, we'll try to call somebody, but there's not much we can do about it. So sorry about that. And off they go.
I believe they also had a presentation on this utility.
Right. The thing, they call RUBS, which is a ratio utility billing system. They got a report on that. And I think that's how, I'm not sure, as a tenant, I think they can have different meters for different units that way, the way that they're putting that together. I'm not positive.
Right. I lived in a place, it started off as a single family resident, and then they made it into a multi-family unit, and we all had 1 meter. And when I moved in, it was in my lease that we split it 3 ways. And, the guy, my neighbor, who knows if he's not running whatever there to get the electricity up, but, it's a different way.
Oh, we've lost your audio. Not sure where your audio went, but we have lost your audio. So you know what? I'm going to take a commercial real fast as we try to figure out where your audio went. So we will be right back in just a second.
Enjoying the show right now? Thinking you may want to do your own podcast? Burbank Talks is renting out our podcast studio on an hourly rate. You can do audio podcasts or both audio and video, and even bring in guests to talk with. We will help you get set up on podcast platforms and start a YouTube channel, and we can edit your productions to make you look and sound your very best. If you are interested, please drop us an email at studiorentals@myburbank.com. That's studiorentals@myburbank.com, and we will get back to you. Now, back to our show.
Well, we left off on Tuesday, April 9th, actually.
Yep. Let's start. Yeah, we'll start once again on Tuesday, April 9th, which is tomorrow. And by the time you're probably reading or listening to this, it's today. But we record this on Monday nights. Burbank Athletic Commission is going to meet at 6 p.m. at the Community Services Building. And then the City Council, of course, is going to meet at 6 p.m. also, because we can't have one meeting at a time in Burbank. They're going to meet at City Hall. This is an interesting thing. They have an acceptance of a donation of a new concrete play yard, fenced dog run, donor wall, and renovations to the existing turtle pond, which I didn't know we had a turtle pond, valued at $48,260 from the Leadership Burbank class of 2024 to be installed at the Burbank Animal Shelter. And a little background is it says in 2023, Burbank Animal Shelter had sheltered 650 dogs. The intake numbers are steadily increasing, and there's limited space for showcasing animals, especially the larger dogs. And there's a need to optimize the shelter's facilities for animal life-saving purposes. Currently, there is insufficient space for large dogs to exercise and be exhibited for adoption. Although I know the Friends of the Burbank Animal Shelter have over $1 million in their account, so I'm not sure what that money is being saved for. But Ross, I think you said the other day that Leadership Burbank hasn't even had a fundraiser yet. So how are they going to get a donation, I guess, when they haven't had the fundraiser yet?
Well, every year that class comes up with a project, and this is their project. But yeah, I'm confused. Next week is their big fundraising event at Johnny Carson Park, and they're saying that, they're donating $48,000, and we ran the release on it, I believe. I saw
Yes, we did. Yeah, we did.
They want to put in a big dog run along the back wall, and they're kind of cramped.
Did you know we had a turtle pond?
Oh yeah, they also have rabbits and every other kind of animal, but they're not putting $48,000 into the turtle pond. It's all these other, this new dog run, and so they can do multiple adoptions. That's how full our animal shelter is.
Yeah.
So, but I'm kind of confused that this came up on the agenda.
How they're accepting the donation when they haven't even had the fundraiser yet.
Exactly.
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? They're also going to review the 2023 Military Equipment Annual Report. So the City Council approved it back in November, and it basically consisted of 3 unmanned, remotely piloted aircraft, or drones, 2 remotely piloted ground vehicles, micro-robots, and 6 kinetic energy weapons, 40-milliliter launchers.
Not milliliter, that's liquid. Millimeter.
Well, I copied and pasted from the thing, and it says milliliter on the.
Milliliters, wow.
I'm not sure. You know what? I couldn't tell you a millimeter from a milliliter because I went to Burbank schools. And we don't teach the metric system in Burbank schools.
Well, I can tell you don't drink because usually a milliliter is what you're consuming alcohol-wise.
Oh, okay. There you go. Well, I don't drink anymore, but I don't drink any less either. Ba-dum-bump. Ba-dum-bump. There we go. Okay. They're also going to be holding a public hearing on the Section 8 program for housing. That's a very complicated report. And once again, a little above my level. So I will leave it in their good hands, and they will, I'm sure, have a 45-minute long presentation about it. So I would tune in if you want to hear about that. And then, in case you're still awake and you're trying to get to sleep, I say this every time to our poor Crystal Palmer, our treasurer, but they're going to do an approval of the 2024 City of Burbank investment policy and review of the city treasurer's investment portfolio report. So you can tell that she will be up there and talking about annuities and trends and bonds and everything else. And you know what? Thank goodness for her.
Well, she's pretty sharp on that when she ran originally and for her reelection. She showed her interest and is really into that, and she's done a great job. We haven't had a lot of treasurers. That's an elected position, and she's been doing a hell of a job. And, when you hear these other cities say they're going bankrupt here and there, and,
yeah,
that's why we're not. Thank you, Crystal.
Absolutely. She does a great job. And I hate to make it sound like she doesn't matter or she's boring, but, let's face it. I mean, talking financial stuff is, but it's important. And I just wonder how many council members who really understand what she's talking. I'm sure a couple do, but I'm sure out of the five, maybe there's one or two might be looking at it, thinking, what am I doing here?
Well, I think when they, each council member is asked what committee you want to sit on, and a couple of them that show the interest. I remember Bob Fruto sat on that committee, and he was in Crystal Palmer's office all the time getting reports, and I guarantee.
Oh, I thought he was going there so he could get his checkbook balanced.
Well, she probably could help with that too.
Okay. They're also going to have an update on the city's 5-year homelessness plan. And they said last year there were 71 sheltered and 181 unsheltered homeless in Burbank. Of the 181, 57 had nothing. They just were on the streets and had nothing. 24 had makeshift shelters, 3 used tents, probably on the freeways, and 97 lived in vehicles. This was a 4% decline from 2022 that had 188. So they counted 7 less homeless people. But that's still a lot of homeless people,
Well, but that also goes to show you that we're doing something here in Burbank, caring about the homeless. That number's going down, and all you got to do is drive outside of Burbank, go into L.A., go into North Hollywood, Sun Valley. I can name off a dozen cities. And you think, wow, it's gotten a lot worse, but our numbers are going down, so we are taking care of our homeless.
And I think it is, we respond right away. We don't let them sit there and put in 40 motorhomes or build 25 campsites, and then we start saying, oh, what's going on here? Yeah, if one goes up, we're on it, and I think that's what LA doesn't do. LA just lets it go and fester until either enough people complain, it's in a predominantly rich neighborhood, or the news media comes and covers it. Because it's funny how they let the trailers go on Forest Lawn Drive as long as the strike was going on, but right after the strike was over, those motorhomes got moved out in a hurry. So I'm sure the studios wanted to have a nice look for their tours and everything else. So I found that interesting.
One of the nice things that Burbank did is on their Burbank 311 app, if you see a homeless shelter getting set up, even if it's one person, whatever, there's a spot on there that you can report it the next day. They are out there with either the mental health team or the city, the different departments within the city to see what they can do. So, that's they're moving along on that.
And that's one area of the city I will say they are proactive with. So good for them. We're going to have adoption of a resolution declaring a shelter crisis in the city of Burbank. I think the reason they're doing that is that they can get funding, and approval to work on their shelter on Front Street for their parking needs and everything else. The old Hollywood piano lot they have bought, and they're using that funding to fix that place up and stuff. So it's more of a, they have to declare a shelter crisis before they can actually get grant money, I guess.
Well, I read in that report they put in a request for $3,450,000, and it's from the three cities.
The Burbank, Glendale, Pasadena Regional Housing Trust.
Right, and they put that together because it's easier to get grants when cities team up like that than one city applying, and it's writing those grants is a real project.
Absolutely. Let's move on to Wednesday. On Wednesday, the Board of Library Trustees is going to meet at 5:30 at the Central Library. They're going to get reports on social services, customer service, the new Central Library, and board goals. I still don't like that new Central Library. I just think we've got to change it to, Central Media Center, Central Communications Center, just something to get the word library out of it. Not that library is a bad word, but libraries is such a 1940s and 50s word, where moving into the new century and everything else, I just think the technology is crying for a better description.
Okay.
What else here? Burbank Cultural Arts Commission is going to have a special meeting at 6:30 at the Burbank Chamber of Commerce. It's an interesting place to have their meeting. They're going to have their beautification program recognition. The Adopt a Box sponsors announcing a phase 8 of the program. So how do you like that? They're going to announce phase 8. I think we bought our box in phase 4, was it? Or when was that?
Yeah, three or four. We've been at Hollywood Way and Magnolia for several years.
Now, didn't you tell me that somebody did some graffiti on our box?
Yeah, I was sitting there the other day, and they cleaned it up the best they can, but somebody keeps tagging it, and they're out there cleaning it almost as much as, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
But the recognition is for to thank the people, $500 donation to have a box. You're not responsible for it, but you painted or paid for the paint and the person to do it and everything, and so it's they're thanking the people that made their donations.
Absolutely, and we thank them also. Those boxes are pretty nice.
And a lot of people don't stop at the Chamber of Commerce. And what if you don't have a use to be there? They have a nice boardroom. They have a patio. They can handle a couple hundred people. That, very nice facility, a little parking lot there. And there, I know the chamber rents it out, something like this. They probably donate it to the city as a mutual agreement. But, I know the chamber is always advertising that you could rent their patio. And I know there's a couple of chefs that teach cooking there, and they do it all right there.
And the great thing about that also is you've got a parking lot right next to it too, so you don't have to worry about parking. I mean, it's got everything you really need. The one-stop location for a meeting.
Yep, and again, it's a small parking lot, but if they have a big event, they share it with Water and Power, whose staff lot is right there.
Yeah.
That can handle probably 50 to 75, 100 cars.
Yep. In the evenings, it's empty, so why not use it?
Yep.
The Park and Rec Board is going to meet also on Thursday at 6 p.m. at City Hall. They're going to get an animal shelter update. Talk about, I guess, in case the commissioners don't watch the meeting on Tuesday at City Council, they'll get another presentation then. And they're
I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same presentation, but
yeah,
boards and commissioners don't sit down and watch meetings like you and I do.
Well, it's. I won't talk about our life sometimes. let's see what else I got. I got a departmental operations update also. So good for them. We appreciate them. Let's move on to the weekend. This coming weekend. Ross, you have any idea what's coming up on Saturday? What do you think Saturday is?
Wait, I'm checking my calendar here. Whoa. Even in the palace here, I got a current calendar, and I think, isn't that Earth Day?
Oh, that's it. It's Earth Day. And of course,
It's Earth Day.
Yep. And when you hear that horn go off, it only means one thing, that our word of the week is actually two words, and that is Earth Week, or no, Earth Day. Why is it an Earth Day and not an Earth year? Why not an Earth decade? But anyhow, it's Earth Day. And so Earth Day is our word of the week, and please send that in on your subject line to contest@myburbank.com. Send your address, and we will pick somebody out to win a $25 gift card to Hill Street Cafe, some of the finest dining in town. You
will really enjoy it.
I have to push that button once a show. Anyhow, so Earth Day festivities are 9:30 a.m. at the Burbank Community Garden at 1141 Pass Avenue, and that's at the corner of Chandler. It's really, they built a garden a couple years ago. They're gonna have it. It says enjoy a fun morning in the garden with children activities, presentations on composting, native plants, seed starting, and growing vegetables. The event is free and open to community members of all ages. So there you go. If you're feeling,
that's going to bring out a lot of people. That I remember, that was just one of a couple of gardens they hope to put in, and I drove by just about a week and a half ago, and man, there's a ton of people that have lots of plants and veggies going, and I know a couple of people that live over in that part of town, and they have plots, as they call them, and it should be a great event.
Okay, well, Saturday also is at the same time. It's too bad they're doing two things at the same time, but that's the Cause for Pause that we talked about earlier for the Leadership Burbank fundraiser. They're going to have a silent auction, and it says enjoy pet-related vendors and shop. So I'm not sure much more than that. That's all they had on the website about it. So let's hope that they can raise their $48,000 that they've already given to the city council 3 days before that. We hope for the best for them. And then we'll give you a little promo on this, even though it's, we always try, don't do future events, but we'll put a little promo on there. Is that a week from Saturday is Care Walk 16. And that's at Johnny Carson Park, and it supports the FSA, the Family Services Agency. And, it's school-based counseling along with honoring Zontas, and there's a food drive at the event. So.
Yeah, I sit on that committee, the FSA Care Walk Committee, and.
Hold on, Ross. We got a visitor here. We've got the Dodger cam activated, and all I got here is a forehead. But anyhow, go ahead and talk.
This year, I sit on the committee, the Care Walk Committee, and they have chosen Zonta as a recipient of an award, and Zonta is doing a big food drive right now. In fact, Lynn Lipinski wrote a nice article that appears on myburbank.com on our front page for Care Walk, and she wrote about Zonta and so forth. People don't realize here in Burbank, if you have a crisis or even our school-based credit counseling, people don't need to pay for that. And when they, Care Walk raises funds for specifically school counseling. And, you look at other cities and you hear some of this stuff that's going on. It's a nice event. I've been on the committee for many years, and Johnny, you're in there and out of there in a couple hours. I mean, it's a nice, you walk on the pattern that they have out there, and there's other things that if you walk, you get breakfast.
And who doesn't love a good breakfast?
Now you get pancake breakfast, you get the sausage, you get the works. And thanks to Lewis, who donates the meals for that. I mean, if you're out, you walk a bit and then enjoy breakfast. So
most important meal of the day. I need to have one once in a while. Okay. Let's check out here also. You know what? That's it for our usual stuff. We only have one thing left. One thing and one thing only. And it's probably the only reason you stayed here this long with us on the show. Because who does not want to always hear
Ross's rant! Ross's rant! Ross's rant!
I'd take a flamethrower to this place!
Me. What's up, Doc?
that must mean it's time for my rant, and I have a couple of them. One of them, I got to say, I've been around the city for a long time, and you get conflicts like we already read. There's only so many weekends in a year. This past weekend, you had Kiwanis put on their big gala at the same time that Rotary was having their karaoke night. Now, you got to decide, are you going to one or are you going to the other? They both could use your donations. And years ago, we tried to start a calendar. We offer a calendar on My Burbank.
free
Free of charge. Anybody could use it. It's Burbank related. It's got to be Burbank related. And you could look far off, and say, well, let's plan on this. Let's get it on the calendar. That kind of drives me crazy when you can't make it to everything. And then the other rant, everybody's up in arms this week. 99-cent stores are saying goodbye. Everybody's, everybody's commenting about 99-cent stores saying goodbye. Now, I understand that there's some investors that want to take it over. But I remember back in the day, we had Federated who went belly up. And again, I went to their auctions when they liquidated. I still think I have pens and pencils around here that say Federated on them. You got Bed Bath & Beyond. I know Tim Conway Jr. had to see a therapist because Bed Bath & Beyond closed. His wife wondered where he went 3 days a week. It was to see his therapist because he couldn't go up to check out the bed and linens at Bed Bath & Beyond. What's next? Best Buy?
Well,
the ceiling has fallen.
I'll give you two places I heard that are now for sale, and that's one is Lancers, and the other is the Corner Cottage.
Well, look at that.
There's two more places, and if the owners decide to sell because they either don't make enough money or because they're tired of that's their prerogative.
Well, a lot of speculation about where Corner Cottage is at the church. It's going to take it over or whatever. They've been there. You think about it. I used to be a Corner Cottage guy until I'm now a Larry's guy. But the brothers are there every single day. They have been for years and years and years and years, and that's a lot of burritos you got to turn around to pay for the property and the maintenance and everything. So that's one building. And then Lancers, it might end up on our list of restaurants that have come and gone.
Yeah. In fact, I want to mention that real fast. Our part one of our dearly departed restaurants is doing very well on both the podcast platforms and on YouTube. So we appreciate everybody who's giving us comments, everybody who's listened to the shows, and we are presently working on part two, which we're going to have up within a week or two. And once again, have another great section of restaurants. So it stirs a lot of memories, and we missed a lot of restaurants. So there will be a part three for all the restaurants we missed also.
Yeah, it's, you start thinking back, and people have told me, I've seen people have emailed me, yeah, you forgot about this one or forgot about that one. And it's like, We've gone through a lot of restaurants in this lovely town.
Yeah, in the last 50 years, absolutely. So we appreciate everybody who's watched that show. We appreciate everybody who watches this show, too. This show's a little more of a, this show's kind of like listening to a financial report from the city once in a while. But
Well, if you want to send us questions, you got a question or a gripe, or you haven't gotten your questions answered, say that quickly 3 times. Send us an email. We'll look into it. I know the city PIO, he gets calls from us quite a bit. You could also, if you wonder what was where or what was how or what event and so forth, give us a quick email.
I wonder, getting back to your rant, all these organizations who put on at the same time and don't, so you have 2 events at once. I wonder if it's the same person who schedules the city meetings. That has to have 2 meetings on at the same time also. I mean, can anybody get this figured out a little bit? It blows my mind how meetings, 2 or 3 meetings happen at the exact same time.
Yeah, that is pretty. It gets you. I mean, I know there's a lot going on, and I would like to know the rhyme or reason. I think they say of how they schedule city events, city meetings.
Yeah. Well,
so we reminded people of a lot of events going on this week, a lot of meetings. You want to get involved. You don't want to go to a meeting. You don't want to spend hours like we do researching. You know what? You can donate to Leadership Burbank this weekend. You can go to the Earth Day events. Burbank's got a lot going on. I mean, a lot going on.
You ready for this, though? I'm hearing right now you may be getting rain on Saturday.
Well, if it does, I don't think you'll melt.
And I think the Earth will still do okay.
Yep, we just won't collect the water.
Nope. No, we don't get the water. Well, I think that's it.
Another week.
Another week. Another rant.
Another rant. I hope I keep convalescing here and I'll be able to walk and talk and drive and chew bubble gum at the same time, hopefully by next week's show.
Love to get you back here in the studio.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
All right. Well, that's it for Ross Benson. This is Craig Sherwood, and we are going to say we will see you again, we will talk to you again, and you will see us again next week. Thanks a lot for listening.
My Burbank Talks would like to thank all of My Burbank's advertisers for their continued support. Burbank Water and Power, Cusimano Real Estate Group, UME Credit Union, Burbank Chamber of Commerce, Gain Credit Union, Providence St. Joseph Medical Center, Community Chevrolet, Media City Credit Union, UCLA Health, Tequila's Burbank, Logix Credit Union, Hill Street Cafe, Bertain Escobar Wealth Management, and the UPS Store on 3rd Street.